Good evening, folks, and welcome to it. It's Monday Night Football here, courtesy of Frontrunner Sports. My name is Kamumbata, as we reflect on the weekend that was a little bit of this, a little bit of that. This being the local league games, and then that being the rest of the African continental action that South African teams were involved in at the weekend. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us live as we stream to YouTube. Remember, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and you'll be able to keep up to date with all the post-match stuff that comes out, all the sound bites from the coaches that then end up on all other places all over the internet. I found today in my research. I'm not alone. Joining me, I'm joined by Kelvin Sosibo. And Kelvin, tonight we have a bit of a speed run, Nyana, because the specter of load shedding hangs above the both of us. But yeah, we're going to try and do our best. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Kamza. Yeah, I was just worried about that. I hope we wrap up in time before we get distracted with this load shedding.
Yeah, and I hope there's no rain forecast in your side of the world as far as the connection is concerned. Tonight. Yeah. Remember, guys, we have that giveaway where we're giving away 3 jerseys tonight. So 3 people who are watching, I hope you'll be watching, have the opportunity to have their name called out. So we'll do that a little later, probably at the halfway mark, because I'm an old hand when it comes to, kind of baiting you along and keeping you glued to the screen. So let's get into today's agenda as far as our talking points. And of course, we're going to start with the CAF competition glory for South African teams. AmaZulu are through to the CAF Champions League at the expense of TP Mazembe. And I mean, it's a big milestone for the club, Kelvin, but all the theatrics that come along with going into the rest of Africa came along with this one. Goki was one of the players where they're trying to cast aspersions as to his, COVID status. But in the end, he got to be on the pitch and played for Benny McCarthy alongside, 10 or so other players who really rose to the occasion on the day. What do you make of them progressing to the next round?
Yeah, first of all, we just want to congratulate Benny, and I think this is huge for AmaZulu. They've done themselves a favor. I think with Sundowns setting the benchmark, it was always in a case of us following through. I think by doing the right things and taking the right steps, I think now the teams in South Africa are starting to be recognized. We're seeing AmaZulu there raising the flag, and we also see Gallants also who are also in the picture. I think first time actually qualifying and with Benny being in charge, it is a very, very, very big milestone for Benny in his coaching career at AmaZulu. And looking at the log standing where they are, they've got 8. They have played 8 games. Last 5 games, 2 wins, 3 draws. 7 matches played, 2 wins, 4 draws, and 10 points. I think that confidence also filtered through to them having a very, very strong squad moving towards the CAF. So I think the boys were motivated. I think Benny, what he had to do is just to keep the guys motivated and tell them that it's possible, it's doable. And they did exactly that by making sure that firstly they don't concede, and then they minimizes the chance of them being eliminated. So they always were in the front foot by making sure that you don't concede, because in this competition, if you don't concede, you have a higher chance of moving to the second round.
No, for sure. They did well there against the odds to get that one. But of course, obviously this is also partly Benny McCarthy kind of, proving the naysayers wrong. A lot of people thought that maybe that second season syndrome with Benny, where he, won't have the team playing for him. But these boys are playing for him now, Kelvin. And he also says that, as much as I'm a tough father on these kids, it's because I believe with their potential, they can do much better. So are you convinced that the trajectory is on the up, and maybe disagree with the people who think that Benny might not be able to see this one through as far as take this team a step further than they went last season?
I think so far has done that. First time in the history of AmaZulu qualifying for CAF to the next round. I think the atmosphere is well. It's good in the team. I think his words are taken by senior players into the right direction. If they're not doing well, they know they need to shake up and start being professionals and do exactly what the coach wants. Benny being a prolific striker himself, I think the frustration on the front forward, it's evident enough to say he knows how to score goals. So he is expecting them whenever they get a half chance to punish those teams. And I think now having a conversation with the team in terms of how he wants them to play and how they want to approach games domestically and then also in the CAF. I think it's evident enough now to say they are coming along. We're seeing the likes of Nduli, who's on the score sheet on the 38 minutes, which most people didn't actually see this through being playing TP Mazembe, one of the most experienced team into this CAF, but they managed to edge them out of this competition. So it's good. Benny is coming up all right. I think his presence now is being felt. I think now he needs to be more disciplined and be more focused on getting the result, because just this one hell, he needs another one in order to solidify himself as the best coach now coming up with a team that is not is rich in history, but in terms of titles, they're not that rich.
No, for
So
sure.
this is
So yeah, let's see. I mean, if they can keep the momentum going against Kukune, that'll go a long way to helping them just kind of find a footing as far as their league form is concerned. Not as setting the world on fire as much as they were last season, but let's see. This could be the catalyst for good things to come. We've seen it last season where, you have teams that do well in African competition and sometimes maybe don't replicate it in the league. And that's not a problem though for Mamelodi Sundowns, who were able to, just make sure that
yeah.
they also wrap up a place in the next round. All the weapons they have, they made it in the end look like, easy peasy, standard procedure for a team like Sundowns, Kelvin.
Yeah, for sure. I think with Sundowns, it's not a question, it's not a doubt. I think they have a lot ammunition in them, and I think for them moving to the next round, it's expected. Team like Amazulu is thin on squad, and also we could not say the same in budget, but comparing them to Sundowns, Sundowns has no match in terms of the financial muscle, and also on the playing personnel and the playing personnel. So I think at this point with Sundowns, they're just moving step by step and trying to introduce as many players into this international stage and getting a team that it looks like Sundowns wants to get a team that may compete domestically and also compete at CAF with easy. So even if those players can go out there and then they're starting to feel a little bit fatigued, they still have another best 2 or 3 11s that are still at Clorcop that can represent Sundown. So it's up to them to keep the team fresher, keep the team more motivated, and keep all the players in good shape into whenever they're being called into, whether they perform internationally or whether they have to perform domestically. They will do that with pleasure, because I mean the coaches that are there, the three of them have all different tactics, but it's coming down together now. They're starting to have that harmony, and also players starting to respond to what the coaches want.
Okay, well, sport for choice is, an embarrassment of riches. That as far as Sundowns are concerned, able to win 2-0 at home against Maniema Union, 4-2 on aggregate. It's Lala K and none other than Peter Shalulile getting on the score sheet. Marumo Gallants are also through, as far as, are getting there because two teams are secure, but the other teams still have, other games and qualifiers still to come to make it through to the next round. But one foot in front of the other for Coach Malika, interim Coach Malika and his team. Once again, I think these are the team that I was referring to, Calvin, when I say there's teams that can do well on the continent, but sometimes, it detracts from their performances in
Yeah.
the league. And a team like this who aren't doing so well in the league, is this a help or a hindrance as far as progressing into the next stage of the competition is concerned?
For experience, I think it's helped. Domestically, I think it's a downfall because they are thin in squad, and that could be a problem when they're carrying injuries, and also looking at the position that they're in currently right now. They've done it before. They went all the way through to the finals while they were almost while they were at the bottom, and they managed to save themselves and also got the league. But I think that the stakes are different now. This is a big tournament that requires more financial muscle, also more a pool of squad that can actually assist a team to compete on both fronts, whether in the league or in the CAF competition. It will be in a risk in how the players recover, and also the traveling also from their side, which is it's something that's going to take a toll on them. Also, the financial resource, they're not that well resourced in terms of money. It might be a hindrance to them when they have to travel, and then when they travel, they might not have the same advantage as the other teams that are in the country, which they can easily get a chartered flight and be in and out and be able to play another match on a midweek or over the weekend. So yeah, I looked at players like who carried this team to this game, which is Ndlondlo, Arubi, Gema, and Matlakala. I think those are some of the experienced players that have helped this team this far. And I think with them help balancing out the competition between the league and also the CAF. I think those players need to be retained, and then they need to replicate the same performances that they're giving out in this CAF competition to the league in order for them to move to a better position, because it doesn't help them being in this position and also not understanding that they can be actually relegated and not participate in this tournament again.
Yeah, that's true because I mean they do have another round and they could still get knocked out, but that could be a blessing in disguise considering that they do kind of have to focus on making their way further up the local league table, and their next assignment sees them in action against Stellies as far as the midweek games are concerned, and of course Amazulu, like I referred to earlier, in action against Skukune. And then obviously Pirates are also now through to the next round. A bit of a different side. People were wondering, Mabasa, where is he at? Why didn't he get a start? I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a bad result. But what do you make of the teams that Orlando Pirates are putting out? I mean, is it a case of just continuously shuffling the pack to find the right combinations, or do you think the likes of Mdambo, Jukamanja are now giving the coaches a bit more to think about as far as what that starting 11 is going to look like? Because also the likes of Tyson are also, maybe not benefiting from this carousel of changes.
Yeah, I think with the coach, he's trying to give uh, trying to give opportunity to as many players as possible to have a variety in terms of how he wants to set up. I think this is helping in a way to see some of the faces. I was happy to see Monare. Not much with Mtambo because I'm not quite sure where is he playing in this formation that the coach has. But also at the back line, it's starting to seem a little bit balanced right now, and nobody felt the absence of Tyson because the way they were so solid. So I think moving forward, it's the coaches who are trying to refresh the squad, but slowly, and also give other players that have not have a chance to participate also to see what they can give before maybe in the next window comes, and then they says maybe these are the position that we need to actually to improve on, and we need more players on that. So I think they Munara also give a good account of himself on this game, and also the central defender that replaced Tyson, I think, is doing well, starting to adjust and gel into the team. I haven't seen much of Pepra. I think also his time when he comes, I think is going to be a good addition. On the absence when Mabaso is Olisanda, the defender from Orlando Pirates. I think also when Mabaso is not present, it will be easier to have those combinations, because Mangoba, I believe, he doesn't like to play more or less like with the number 9, but he likes to keep a formation where you will have one top striker and then play with a 10 just to help around. This is when now, if you have a stronger number 9, players like Cabo Lodge, they can come into the picture. And also you can have Abu Pule being the ones that will be running around and collecting the loose balls into the box. So just having somebody that will sit at the top, I think this is what Nigaz has worked with, because I've seen in applying the same system at Golden Arrows, where he used more Mutizo as a target man. The Modis, they came around into the box and they were always lethal. When you're focusing on Modi, then Mutizo will come in and sneak in into the back post or trying to play between the lines.
Well, let's hope they can be as interchangeable as you're saying, because obviously the likes of Pule and you've got Lodge, you want them to come back into the side and hope that they can have an impact. Knowing how talented those players are. So, maybe not firing on all cylinders just yet, Orlando Pirates. But yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, as far as January is concerned and getting more bodies in, you have to be in tournaments and competing for things, I guess, to maybe also justify
Mm.
the club loosening the purse strings. But anyway, we're gonna take it one step at a time. Some of these clubs have taken two steps and are already in the next round. Others are just kind of making their way through it, and we wish them well. But congratulations to all the teams this week for getting the desired results as far as CAF competitions are concerned. Cool. Let's move on to the DSTV Premiership, and don't forget, we're going to be revealing the three winners of that at Babize Bonke ZA competition that we've been running right here on Front Runner. You know what you've had to do is go follow them, take a screenshot, and then let us know. And three people have done that. So we'll let you know who's won is Kindi, like a jersey from your favorite club. I don't even think that the other two people who've won have kind of specified what clubs they like. I think one of the winners has kind of put it out there, but we'll reveal that in a few moments' time. Let's move on to the DSTV Premiership, where Kaiser Chiefs were, I guess, full value for all 3 points against a SuperSport United side that I guess many didn't expect would be dispatched off as easily as they were, Kelvin. What did you make of the performance from Kaiser Chiefs? We'll discuss obviously the post match with Bernard in a little bit, but as far as the team playing and this project, this thing coming together, are you starting to see signs that Baxter has put his fingerprint on this team?
Yeah, slowly. I think they're starting to respond to what Baxter wants. I think a couple of players are starting to fit into the right puzzle. Slowly getting there, and it's promising. With these results, I think it also gives players confidence to still do more of the positive stuff that they do in training, and also their organizational play, and also the tactical aspect of the game. So, happy coach should be Stewart. A little bit of relief that uh, supporters were starting to trying to call his name because of the poor results that he's been having. But I think this has pulled him out of the rabbit hole, but not yet completely. I think if he can get maybe two, three, four wins, and then the belief will start coming in from the supporters, and they'll start rallying around behind him to help him to get more, because they know what he can produce, they know what he has done, but now it's a different era. So we just have to take it step by step. He's lucky that he's under a management that is patient, that is giving him time to collect the squad, and then they ask him in terms of what he wants to, who he wants to get, and how other players, how he negotiate for other players' positioning. As you can see, Nobo now has been moved more into the middle. He's
Mm-hmm.
starting to show some signs, but even though it's not the best position the way he's playing, but he's making shift with what he's got now. So let's see as time goes on what will happen.
Yeah, no, time will tell. But obviously, for Bernard Parker, a momentous occasion for him as far as becoming Chiefs' leading top goal scorer in the PSL era, and also at the same time
Mm.
breaking a 31-month dry run. Now, obviously, Calvin, when I put it
Mm.
like that, it can sound rather crazy. But
Yeah.
I don't want to detract from the fact that obviously what he lacks in goals, and a lot of coaches who coach him and work with him, he contributes in other aspects, and that's probably why he always gets a look in as far as the starting 11 is concerned. But how important was it to end that drought and solidify your place as a striker? Because you can't be the top goal scorer at your club, but it's I don't know, it's bittersweet. It's 31 months ago that you scored, and you score a brace. You make history, but should he be providing a better return for his talents and his quality?
I think he is at this moment providing a better return to the club, because there are new players there that he has to make sure that they fit into the squad. He's more of a now into a player management type of a scenario where he tries to make sure that if he doesn't perform, make sure that he motivates. It's the same thing that is happening now with Akpei and the goalkeeper department, where they are all together. Because I saw some beautiful images today where they posted medals, they gifting each other medals for the good performances that they've been dishing out. And same goes with Parker. For him to almost come into tears, brought into tears for breaking the drought. I think a lot has been happening around him. I think he hasn't been getting maybe the enough supply, or people haven't been more supportive into what he's trying to do. Because there's a point they were calling for his head that he needs to go, and what a time to actually to come back and then score and then be a man of the match. So I think for him it was very special, and I think for many more performances to come. I think he's one of the players now that don't really need 90 minutes. He's one of
Mm,
those players that can help a team and organize a team. Put the players that are more with more energy and let him just marshal and guide those players. You don't need him for a full 90 minutes, but just to help the team to have the structure and play around him. You can always sub him and then
yeah.
put more fresher legs, but his experience you cannot substitute.
For sure. Huele now says Parker really did have a good game on Sunday, and hopefully Parker can get going for the season and offer Chiefs more. Zolani Stemela says, yeah, but how do you go 31 months without scoring? But he's been playing constantly. I kind of, yeah, I did ask that question, but like I say, I don't think we should take away from what else he contributes to a team. And a lot of the time, as he'll get that stick over the 31 months, Kelvin, it's fair to say that he's gotten that stick. And the coaches have been really unanimous in supporting him, playing him. I always tell people that a coach is not going to put out a starting 11 that's going to cost him his job. So, when a coach puts out a team and you're surprised that so and so is in the team, that coach has seen them, watched them at training, and believes that that person gives me the best job of staying in my job, best chance of staying in my job. And Parker seems to be ever reliable for all these coaches. So, what are they seeing that people aren't seeing?
I think what people are not seeing is that Parker has been played into multiple positions. And that's one of the things that they should start understanding also. At some point, he played as a left back. At some point, he plays as a number 6. At some point, he plays as a winger. At some point, he plays as a striker. So him not getting goals, I know this is what supporters know him for being a goal scoring machine. But now, if you look at the player's personality and how he gets involved and how he's actually into the game, I think is more contributing towards helping the team pushing for good results, and also structuring and organizing a team to be better in their setup. As you mentioned, no coach will put up a player that is going to cost him a team. What is it that is he seeing? I think it's good leadership skills, and also the will and the die-hard attitude of making sure that he's always on the front foot. Uh, uh, Try to help the youngsters to blend in and gel into the team. So his job is more or less like is more of being a player. But as a senior player, it's for him to guide all those players to be able to give the performances that Kaiser Chiefs is well known for.
See, so on YouTube says no, but Park has not been playing in his preferred position for years. He's a striker playing there, and you'll see what he can give you. That's all well and good, but why isn't he played as a striker then? I mean, why it is his ability to play in all these different positions actually what's hurting him? In that you have a player who can be a bit of a Swiss knife for you as a coach, and at the same time you have strikers who can strike but can't do more than that. Whereas in Parker, you have a player who can potentially be a striker, but you can use him in other roles. So has that also maybe been to his detriment, just how versatile he is?
I think it's a plus. When you're versatile, comes, I think it gives you an opportunity to help
Yeah,
a
but I
team in
mean,
any
Kelvin,
needed.
is it a plus though when people know you as a striker and you're doing the job for your coach wherever he wants you to, and then you must deal with 31 months of being the go-to guy for your coach, but out there the world is thinking, when is the striker gonna strike?
Yeah. Well, in a way, I think they know him for scoring goals, right? And he hasn't been doing that, and hasn't been played also more as a top man, because as the game has evolved, they've looked to have more of a bigger built striker, like how they signed Nokovic. So I think the
Right.
message was clear, just to have somebody that is bigger that's going to hold the ball up. And Parker is not the type of player to be holding balls up. He's good on running into spaces, and he's
Right.
good on trying to create opportunity for himself to score. But he's not one of those players that will be bullied by big defenders and then always having to compete for second balls or aerial balls. He's one of those players that will come in, cut inside, and trying to have a shot at goal. And I think that has been something that has been lacking. And then Chiefs went with trying to find somebody that will support his play, maybe have a variation of play where they can play maybe on a second ball, or also trying to play him off into spaces. But now, looking at it in that way, for me, I felt also a coach myself. If that player can offer or give me that creativity when we have a bigger striker, it's more of a plus to me than him having to score goals, but creating goals. Because what put Nurkovic to have more goals for Kaiser Chiefs also was all contribution to Parker also doing the spade work, trying to supply him with those goals. But now the attention is now shifted, went into Nurkovic, and then Parker has been forgotten. But he's the one that is actually working harder. Now they're trying the same with Nurkovic. Nurkovic, they're trying to push him towards to the side, and he's not giving anything to Chiefs because he's losing his strength where he's supposed to be more centered.
No, for sure. Fair enough. Zolan is saying the management is to blame. They need to buy the best players in each position. Then he wouldn't need to play all the different positions. I mean, you're talking about a club that's come out of a transfer ban, one that's, at best of times is really sometimes in a way, I guess, competing for the players that Sundowns doesn't want. At the end of the day, the rest of the league is competing for players that Sundowns don't think they need, So there's also that is about finding the right personnel. Okay, I think this will be the perfect juncture to kind of give away the first prize. So let's get into this, okay? You guys know about this. We've been asking you to check out at Babi Zebonke ZA. We're working in partnership with them to help them step up their follower game, and so part of that is us being able now to give away a jersey to our viewers. We're going to announce. So we're doing 3 this week, which means that if you don't win this week, there's still next week. So remember the rules for the campaign is to follow at Babi Zebonke Zere, take a screenshot, and then tag him, tag us, tweet it, just let us see it. And then that way we can register your entry. So here we go. For the first one, Calvin, can you give me a drum roll? Here we go. First up is Pendulo Ramasunga. Saying Pirates is not winning anything this season. I might as well get something as a consolation. So he's got the tweet and everything. Pendulo Ramasunga's won themselves a jersey for their favorite team, which we can tell is obviously Orlando Pirates. Yeah, so I'm going to get into the next winner because I want to get through them and announce them before the energy people get rid of the energy. So the next winner, another drum roll, please. Congratulations to you. I don't know what team you support, but whatever it is, we're going to hook you up with their jersey. And then the final one, here we go, last one. Congratulations to Great Maestro Joy. Great Maestro Joy on Twitter. Congratulations to you. You also win the other. You join the other 2 winners in Tabiles Lindi Lengwane and Pendulo Ramasunga. So there we go. Congratulations to you 3. Remember, you could be one of the other 3 next week. So all you have to do is follow the guidelines as to how to enter the competition. And who knows, it could be you in a week's time that I'm announcing. Did you enter?
Hey, I tried. I think those guys entered more than I. So I'm gonna try again next time. Yeah.
Well, you actually can't win. But speaking about social media, the abuse that players go through. Are you glad, Kelvin, that you're not playing in a time where it's like hectic social media abuse? I think as a player, maybe 10, 15 years ago, dodging the newspaper was, all you had to do to not see any bad things about yourself. Now it's a bit more sophisticated, everyone and their friend has a phone and can get onto social media. What is in your discussions with the pros that what's kind of been their, what's their thinking? I can't imagine it's easy every week having your performances under the microscope, but so how do they cope, in terms of coping mechanisms?
Well, I think the first thing that maybe you need to try and do is be as limited as possible on the social side, and try maybe not to expose more of your personal life, but more of what you're doing as in your job. Let's say, for instance, maybe use your platform as a source of making an extra income than you trying to show other stuff that are not supposed to be there. I know it's your personal page, but for me, I feel that it would be best if you would use it more into a business line, so
Uh-huh.
that at least anything that you put, because for instance, if you put like you being out there having a nice time with your family, then somebody comments and say that's why we are losing, because you're not focusing on the game, you're just worried about that. But remember, at the end of the day, we are all human beings, we have families and we have loved ones, and we like to actually to de-stress from the game as well, as much as they will do in their corporate side. But I think some people take it too far and not trying to be sport people and understand that yes, this is a game of emotion, but at the end of the day, we should respect and have boundaries in terms of what we tweet, what we comment about, because this can damage a player. Because words that are being said over and over, it hinders on the player's performances as well, and
Mm-hmm.
also
Mm-hmm.
dropped into it. Also, the self-esteem drops. It's easy to lose a very very potential player by just one
Mm.
negative thing that could be written under a player.
But I want to know though, like obviously, maybe there's a change in the times. You'll hear the likes of Roy Keane saying he doesn't understand this, happy clappy stuff after a game where you're shaking
Yeah.
hands and you're smiling and you're chatting. It's like sometimes I guess maybe the public will feel that players don't take this as seriously as them. Is that a misconception? Is that true? Or as players, do you just realize that this is my job? Like, yes, we lost, but I know this guy and I'm cool with this guy. Or should it be battle warrior mode the whole time? Do players maybe not invite this, speculation as to them not caring about their job because they just don't seem to be as affected as that one guy who bet his house on a result that didn't go his way? I mean, there's also that.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I know we all know this is our job, and it's not because we don't take it serious or we smile after losing. Listen, I know the guy on a personal level. Yes, at the end of the day, we know that they were better than us. They deserve the win. It's not that no player will leave his house and go and say we are going to lose today, even
Oh.
knowing very well that I'm going to be playing Manchester City or whoever, one of the best players in the world. It's
Mm-hmm.
still I'm going to give it my best, because who knows, it might happen that I might be marketing myself to be seen by other teams. So I think sometimes people take it too far. I think the way how they put up things should come to a limit, because you cannot now go into a warrior mode where it's like you kill everything that is there, no smiling. This game helps you to express your emotion and
Mm.
give out everything that you have. If you
Right.
feel like if you're gonna cry, you have to cry. If it all type of emotions are involved in this game. And now for
Right.
people that will be watching, I know there's bigger stakes for them to lose, where they bet with their houses, with their money. Yes, it's okay. Also with us, when we are playing for our lives, because anything can happen. I might be
Right.
having a very very good game, and then it so happened that I collapse in the field and go. So this
Exactly.
game can take your life, and this game can actually build your life. It's good that most players that play on those times, they're no longer in that they don't have that attention where they have to deal with media, and every little thing that they write gets to be scrutinized. It's nice to be in that. It was nice to be at that era, that time. But right
Yeah.
now, everything is on our fingertips, and it's all a matter of how you discipline and dedicate yourself in understanding that maybe some players need social media training in terms of how they need to run their pages,
Mm-hmm.
because they're having huge followings, and those huge followings, they are good for dopamine. They feel good effect. But at the end of
Mm.
the day, if a lot of those people are saying one and the same thing, that volume of those people that are in that space, on your space, it affects you more than somebody that's got 500 people that is on his social page. So I think this is where the management side comes in, and then trying to educate. Let them rather use these pages for business. Leave less of your personal life, because people already know you. You see, like the likes of Ronaldo, they have 3, 4, 5 posts. We have like 1,000 posts on ourselves, but we're just exposing our life. Ronaldo
Yeah.
is there as a business, and
Mm,
this should be treated as a business. It's not something that you do not mix this pleasure and business. Do
yeah.
one thing at a time, and then let this generate revenue for you.
There we go. Cool. That's a good point. And lastly, on this one, Stuart Baxter says that, he's not a brain surgeon, so he's not going to comment about someone doing brain surgery because he's not qualified. Where does it end where, coaches, I mean, obviously they don't like the fact that there's so many sofa fan coaches busy
Mm,
saying how they would do things, and I hear it all the time. I was with United fans yesterday for the game against Liverpool, and a lot of them think they
mm,
can do better than Ollie. um
mm.
where does one draw the line as to you as a fan having an opinion and then you then telling me how I should do my job as a coach?
I think it as goes as far as what you do on your daily life, what you qualified for. I think you know what you qualified for and what you can do, and what's beyond your means, and what's something that you can't do. With whatever the resources you may have, if things are not working out, they're just not working out. You just have to replan. I think if you take the same energy and balance it towards when you support, it's the same as everybody wants to see their child play, but they
Mm,
wouldn't like it when I'm telling them as a coach that your son is not good enough to be playing right now. I think he still needs more minutes to practice for him to be fitting into this squad. And so the same with fans. I think they push it too far. They push the envelope too far that they ended up damaging the players that they do need for them to make them proud. So how are you going to be proud when you're having 50% of the squad depressed because every time they set their foot on the field, this is what they're going to be faced with due to harsh words and not you being around them or behind them and trying to help them to be better players. Because your role as a supporter is for you to help the team. You, the 12th man, even
mm,
if you know when the chips are down, you
mm.
have to pick those players up and make sure that they pick their head up and try and get something, even though when you know the score is bad. But
Yeah.
try and be the 12th man that is going to help them the next game. Let us look forward to the next game because already this you can see it's done and dusted. But let us not have the same energy for
Mm.
the next game while we know that we are worried about you now more than then we have to play because every time I have a bad first touch, now I have to look at the fans, what are they going to say? And that already damages a player because already you got two versus one on you. It's the fan, it's the ball, it's the opposition, and also
Mm.
the coach trying to give instruction at the same time.
Okay, well, I hope you don't have any paid posts or important business to do on Twitter because I'm about to ask you a question that might mean you must get off Twitter for the next week. Are the fans
Yeah.
clueless in your mind? Do they know what they're talking about? I mean, you're on the Twitter, you're on these social media platforms, you see what they're saying.
Mm,
Do fans know what they're talking about? Or do
yeah.
you look at it as someone who's coaching and be like, y'all don't know?
Yeah, I feel at some point there are fans who are just better for nothing. And sometimes even their argument is centered around emotion. It's not something that is centered under a constructive communication or something constructive criticism.
Mm,
I will
mm,
take it gladly at any given time. If I've made a
mm,
mistake with something that I've said based on what I've been through as a professional player and what I've seen, if it's not panning out in that way or they see it fit or whatever, if it ties up towards what they do in their daily lives and what I've said does not materialize, it's fine to come together and say, listen, there you got it wrong. Then I'll be like, yes, I think maybe I might have miscalculated that. But sometimes just giving out comments, because sometimes you see people commenting about teams just because they don't like them, but they are
mm,
not trying. Remember, as you trying to comment on something, you are trying to educate even the person that has lost and the person that has won. The reason you have won is because of A, B, and C. It's not just that when somebody's asked for a comment, no, I've got nothing to say. It's just that I don't like Kaiser Chiefs or Sundowns or Pirates. That's not something that can bring us into a constructive debate because you are using your emotion then rather than to watch the game. Sometimes other people will just say, "I just don't like to see a team that will have so and so in the starting lineup." Then when you start to explain to them, this is what the player bring, and then they'll go back and say, really, is that all they bring? Which type of player you're talking about, because this player you haven't seen. And which game have you been watching then yourself?
Mm,
Because
mm.
I've seen the player doing these things that I'm pointing out to you. You're watching the game with an anger or trying to damage a player instead of building the player.
UEFA Pro license versus the couch license. I guess in the end, that's what it boils
Yeah.
down to.
That one,
Uh,
that the couch license, you can always pick it up at Pick and Pay in the Shebeen. You can have conversation with that. I think that's the easiest to get, because most of the people that will have such comments is not people that can even set up a training session. Just one training session.
let's start there. Let's start there.
Yes, let's start there if you can do that.
Enjoy
Run
your
one
break.
training session.
Enjoy your break from social media. Bazokuhlasela wena this
No,
week.
I'm not. I'm not gonna have. No, I'm not gonna have no break. No break. I'm
Uh,
ready.
you're ready. You're ready. All right, cool. Let's talk about the curtain raiser
Always.
for Cape Town City. I mean, it's a game that they controlled for the most part, and then I don't know. After they got their fourth goal, it was just it was a bit of a catastrophic ending to the game. They looked good. Marks looked like he was, on course for a clean sheet, and then the wheels came off. Luckily for them, they got 3 points in the end. But a great first half in that game. I mean, they were playing like Cape Town City, we know, and I guess for Coach Eric, the best thing was that the chances they were creating were being finished.
Mm. Yeah, I think looking at it, like the goals that they scored, like K 22 minutes, Kize 24 minutes, Mtanzane 39 minutes, and then Martins at 58 minutes. I think they
Mm.
started on fire. They applied all the principles that were needed in this game. They had the right energy, right attitude, stacked into their game plan.
Hmm.
Arrows were the ones that were responding to what City were doing. But as you're saying, the wheels started coming off. I think when you score this type of goals, you start thinking that already the game is on the back. Then you start now chasing the game, because the team that really needs the goal, they will make it harder for you to score more. But while in the meantime trying to create, because you're looking at the goals that were scored by Moby and Sibisi and Kamini,
Mm.
beautiful goals that were team goals. And I think with Siema, a lot of maybe practice in terms of trying to not deviate too much to what Ligazi has left,
Hmm.
because now we're seeing Golden Arrows that is playing into patches of the old and within the new philosophy of the coach, because Arrows is known for keeping the ball position, having those flair, creating opportunities. They're a fairly balanced team, because if you look at them on paper, you would say that yes, they are a good team, but on grass, they are the ones that will always put up 100% performances, because those players are trying to make names for themselves. And within that, with Eric Tinkler being a very experienced coach that will always play direct football, playing against Arrows, it was always going to be a tough one, because again,
Mm.
it comes to a point where when Arrows start sticking to their game plan and Eric comes more direct, you'll always have those mistakes. That's why you see conceding goals as early as 22 minutes and 24 minutes, like 2 minutes apart, which
Mm.
that calls for lapse of concentration and organization at the end of the day. But DBC managed to get onto the score sheet to rectify the mistakes that they've made at the back, because letting in 4 goals is not an easy thing, because one of the key players from the Arrows was watching CBC Modi Mutizwa, Makubane and Dube. I think those are the players that have pushed Arrows into playing as a unit, and also having that fighting spirit. On the other side, with no doubt, Dalake, surprise, those are the masters of half spaces and creation. If you have those players on top of their form, this score for me is not a surprise.
Okay, well, yeah, no, I think, obviously Golden Arrows, if they had had a first half as good as the second, might have had something to get out of that game. But in the end, Cape Town City, of course, good preparation, maybe not defensively
Mm.
against what is a Mamelodi Sundowns team that are obviously very stingy at the back and very talented up front. So, I
Yep.
mean, we have the prospect of an hopefully open game on the weekend where both sides just give it a go. It really would be nice to see that. Tiso Rasakwaye says, thank you, Kelvin. Some fans don't even watch games. There we go. He's agreeing with you there. Evans Mashita watching from Lephalale in Limpopo province. Big ups to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the YouTubes. And then Mpumelele Nyoga says, emotions are a problem in football. What Baxter was saying has an element of truth. Fans complain when their favorites are not played, but complain about coaches who have favorites. The hypocrisy. There we go.
Mhm.
Well put, Mpumelelo. Let's look at other results that came through. I mean, yeah. TS Galaxy. It's just not happening for them. We'll speak about all these results. There's that one. They just 8 games, no win. This new guy, Sean's left now. He's gone to Cape Town Spurs to go take that head coaching job because I guess, in that situation, he could feel a little bit aggrieved, a bit disrespected to just, be sidelined with this new coach coming in and probably doesn't want to deal with what's happening there. Go TS Galaxy on some like, all right, well, good luck, Tim. I'm gonna go off to Cape Town Spurs and try my luck there. I mean, it's a tough ask for a new coach, new to the league, to try and drum something up with a team that's just not coming together. And they've got decent players in there.
Yeah, because I mean, comes 8 games, no win. On paper, they have a very, very, very competitive squad. But on the field, where the game is played, they seem not to be finding their boots. They seem not to be finding their scoring boots. Also, not trying to play as a team. I think something that is needed to be done there. Maybe additional players that are needed with more experience to save the team. Maybe get maybe one or two strikers. Get a number 10, a playmaker, just to help them with that creativity, and also defensively get number 4 just to protect that back line, because I think they are leaking more. They're leaking also goals, and also they are not scoring at the same time. So they are more or less, it's like they are playing on their own half at this point. So
What
for
about the
me, I
ill
feel as
discipline,
if
Galvin? The ill discipline
they,
surely can't be helping because, like, red cards and TS Galaxy. I mean,
mm,
I know it is their color scheme, but they're like this. Those, the cards and the team,
mm,
and so obviously there's a discipline issue as well. Because sometimes maybe aggression just goes overboard a little bit. And is that something coming from players who are just trying to get something going as far as a result is concerned? When you are that aggressive that you lose your head. I mean, we've seen it in many parks around the world this past weekend, moments of madness from players. But for Galaxy, it just seems to be a real issue.
I mean, comes as I've said, on paper they look good. Competitive squad on paper. I think when good players realize that these games that they are losing, they are not supposed to be losing them. But I'm not promoting the fact that they should be getting red cards because they are costing the team more. So for me, it's all about them becoming as a unit and trying to understand and find and start troubleshooting the problems that they have within. Uh, the red cards and the ill discipline, they go hand in hand, because also players take the same energy from the management. There we go, we got a coach that has left, the assistant coach also left, and then you have a new coach. What does that bring? Now it's bring a disorganization, because a new coach that will come has to still try and find the system, try to instill the philosophy on the team, and players are going to be divided into two, because there were those that were starting and those were in the bench. Now, those on the bench or not being even considered under 18 will be the one now will be getting the nod from the coach, because now when the new coach comes, he sees everybody as equal and level, because it's a coach that is coming from outside. So he has to
Mm.
pick from what he sees in training, rather than we are going to be moving a coach that is local who would say, okay, this is, I know what TX Galaxy problem is. Maybe I just need to remove 1, 2, or 3 players, because you look at those players, they've got very, very experienced players. They are Bombata,
Mm.
who have done wonders for that team. So for me, I think if they can just maybe work on the differences that may have, maybe Tim trying to get the team to be more organized, and maybe have
But how's Tim going to
conversation
do
with them.
that, Calvin? I mean, at the end of the day, there's a new coach in town. Clearly, this guy must have spoken a very good game because how does he get the job if he doesn't pitch to Tim that, listen, I can fix this, that, and the other? It just doesn't seem to
But
be working.
but how do you fix something when you're just coming to South Africa? It's your first time in this league. What do you
I'm
fix?
sure Umchai that he's got a philosophy and he thinks this is how. I mean,
Nah,
I'm,
man.
I mean,
Comes
surely something made him the in the pole position for the job. What made him the go-to guy? There must have been something he said. No?
Yeah, well, something that he has said, something that he might have said to Tim, but right now we're not
It's
seeing
not
the
panning out.
signs. It's not panning out at all because, I mean, for a new coach coming to a new country with different players and also coming from Europe, you'll expect players to be into a sort of some level. Now, if you find
Mm-mm.
them, they're at the lowest level that you are used to. Now, there's more work that you have to do, and you don't have that time because the team already is struggling. 8 games, no win. So you're still trying to force a philosophy. It's all about when you get in there, try and get results. That's why it's dangerous, Kamza, to inherit a team already that is into this position, and
Yeah.
also while they're at the bottom of the league. So for you, you are the one that is allowing yourself to be in that position. If he was that good in his country, I don't think there will be a coach that will take up a team in this position. He would have waited maybe for the right time where he's going to start with the team afresh and start
Yeah.
introducing his philosophy. There's no way you're going to be introducing philosophy in this position. All you got to do is get 6 points or 12 points. Then now you start saying, okay, this is how I want you guys to play. Now it's all finder. Get the ball forward, get goals, 3 points. Now after that we can settle down. Then we can start planning that. Okay, this is how I want you to play. Your CV may be good, but it will not be good enough if you lose the next game. The next
Yeah.
thing we're gonna see is gonna be out of the team.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, time is not a luxury for coaches when the team is in that position. There's another Galaxy in Joanna Galaxy that have coached Morena, a South African who's qualified them to the group stages. So you always ask yourself,
Mm.
what's in when they go looking overseas? What exactly are they looking
Yeah.
for? Because obviously we have some strong candidates very, very close to home, and but let's see. No one wants to see a team go down, so maybe TS Galaxy will be able to pull the rabbit out the hat. Other results: a bit of a drab draw between Chippa and Swallows. Calvin, I mean, Swallows, I guess, can say it's a point on the road. But I don't know if this team is really firing like they should be. And obviously, there's been a lot of interruption and disruption in that camp with the coaching and whatnot. Gavin on the other side has to now do without the likes of Mahlambi, who, everyone likes a good comeback kid story. You were hoping there was going to be that. It's not. What do you make of these two teams' chances and the coaches? I mean, Gavin, some people are probably saying, how is he still in a job?
Hey, it's a chaos down there. Hey, it's a chaos for those two teams. A big chaos. I think with either or, I think they both save each other's job by drawing because I think if one would have lost this game, one was gone, was as good as
Mm,
gone. So I
mm,
think maybe this also gave a lifeline to Truta, and also Truta gave a lifeline to Gavin.
Gavin.
Yeah, they played a very boring game with a lot of caution. Nobody wanted to concede. Maybe I think the draw, is exactly they were aiming for, and they got exactly that because maybe a draw was a draw has proven that it has saved both coaches. So moving forward, with Swallows playing the way that they played, they gave us so much promises last season, and looking at them now, having all these challenges with the coaching staff and management, I think it's starting to hinder also on the players. And when you're having an unhappy squad, it's so easy for you to get negative results. It's not that those players cannot play, and having players that are being rotated all the time, and it seems to me that there is a clash of a clash of the giants, whereby a coach wants to play this type of player, and then another coach is being told that give these other players that haven't played. Because I even saw the body language of Truta. He was sitting so far from the bench from Simo, and Simo was the one that was doing the coaching on the field, while Truta was busy there having big smile as if nothing is wrong. I think also he knows that anything that will happen from now I'm good as gone because I can't maybe work under this environment. It's just for
Right.
me to serve, and
Yeah.
that will be it.
That's going to be an interesting one. I wonder. Swallows this season, I mean, have they swallowed their chances of having a good season by all the stuff that they've been doing? But let's see. Two teams who are simmering at best. playing out to a 0-all draw. Just to draw your attention to the midweek fixtures, it's Stellenbosch hosting Gallants, Marumo Gallants in action. Skukune host Amazulu, and then you got Pirates in action against Royal AM. Any predictions there for how these ones are going to pan out? Royal AM, aka Bloom Celtic Light. What do you think against Orlando Pirates? They're going to be able to do.
Yeah, I think Royal AM has got a tendency now to cause an upset on these Giants, but I think at this time Pirates will come up top. I think it's getting closer now. Royal LM is going to lose their spark with these breaks that they keep having. I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
disruption to their performances,
Hmm.
and this will work with a team with experience in terms of knowing how to plan for this event. As new as they are, Celtics Light, which is Royal AM, but I think they're going to come a point where some of those players will start having those withdrawals from whatever that is happening because they stop and start. There isn't much friendly games that you can play because of the COVID protocols, and for them just to get them going. It's good for them when these breaks happen because they get to recover from injuries, some of the
Yeah.
players, and
Yeah.
also getting them. But match fitness is what will be lacking, and high quality action into the game because now when they get you, when you are flat, this is why you could see scores like with Arrows and Cape Town City going as far as 4-3,
Mm,
which is
mm.
teams start waking up on the second half or where the first half they start sleeping, and this is where you maximize your chances, and then yeah, the rest will be history.
Well, let's see. Yeah, it could help them or hinder them. We don't know. Maybe the extra break allows Coach Maduka to just bed in more of his ideas ahead of what will be a tricky opponent. But I just feel like most players in this circumstance will raise their game. Okay, we're going to leave it there for tonight, folks. Short and sharp, only because we have, the specter of a looming, what's it called? Maybe it's into load shedding. That's the one. Incorrect. No wonder I couldn't remember it. So because
Eish.
we got load shedding possibly happening, we're gonna end things short and sharpish for tonight. Thank you so much for everyone who's tuned in live on YouTube and taken this one in. We gave you the 3 competition winners. I'm sure it'll be turned around on our social media channels as well. So if you maybe know the person who won and they missed this, we will let them know via obviously the social medias and probably DM them as well. But 3 winners have gotten themselves a jersey each for their favorite club. And remember, we're going to do this again in a week's time. So it could be you a part of another 3. Calvin Sosibo, thank you so much, man, for taking up the call this evening. Been dope hanging out with you.
Thank you, Kamza, for having me. I hope people have learned. I'm waiting for the second war in the Twitter space. I think I'm more matured for that now.
It all depends on how how Speecho cuts up the clips. You know how it is. It's all about the editing. It's about the editing of the sound
Yeah,
bites. We'll see. We'll see which one gets
yeah,
pushed
true.
out.
Yeah,
Big ups to you, man, and big ups to everybody
no.
who's tuned in. Big ups to Speecho behind the scenes, and for myself, Kamumbata. Until we meet again in a week's time, have a good week. You look after yourselves and be